But they just protect the
drones? No.
Yeah.
Oh, the girls, yes. Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So
What we call,
your foragers are the protectors.
yeah. What we call
Those are the ones that sting you if you're
the major amount of work is done by the ladies, the women, okay? Do the work of going out, and again, there's a whole dance that people write about, dancing of the bees, which is communication. And, some may go out in the morning and they kind of survey what's out there that we can eat. What does that, what does it look like? And they might find on our farm in the springtime locust trees that we have. And again, trees are far better. That's the wrong word. Trees are huge. Okay? They're huge. Provide all kinds of flowers. It's an important part of the creation of environment for pollinators. Not simply red clover, I love it. Goldenrod in my state, is in the fall. Asters, and I can go on and on. They're all important. But trees are really, really important. And the idea is on your farm or on your campus, think about spring flowering trees and plants, late spring, early summer, deep summer, fall, and towards late fall into the winter, okay, of providing forage and habitat, okay? That's being sustainable. At times, again, we go to conferences and we hear the word being used. We're talking about solar panels and technology, and that's all great. It's all great. But nothing about pollinators and insects and bees.
Well, they are afraid. Like I tried to do the pollination on campus, but they said it was too close to students.
Yeah, well, again, this work is like pushing elephants uphill, okay? And while we're they're making messes. They're pooping everywhere, like they are now. We've got to hold ground, clean up the mess. What it also means, in our country, we've been after some things for a long time, but we keep at it, okay? Things for a long time. Women you had the right to vote. The country was founded. Next year, it's 250, we're celebrating 250. What does that mean? The point is that part of our work in our lifetime is to keep pushing the elephant, okay? Keep pushing the elephant to make change.
And then to your point, to add to that is educating people, right? A lot of people think that they've been stung by a bee when in actuality they've been stung by a wasp.
Exactly.
Different,
Yeah.
right? Because wasps are
Vicious.
mean.
What?
They're
Pictures of
mean.
beekeeping and
Okay.
But honeybees are not necessarily mean. So if you have ever been stung, 9 times out of 10, unless you are in a hive playing around with frames, you're not being stung by a honeybee. And I think the education of that, helping people understand that, can hopefully help in understanding that we need to help them pollinate because it helps our food and not be afraid of them.
Absolutely. And they even get scared from ladybugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what we're saying, this work
Panic.
This work isn't easy work. I hope you don't think it's easy, like, a ball rolling down an incline. It's not that at all, okay? It's steadfast work, okay? I helped found a food co-op in 1972. We emphasize local food, organic food, and healthy food.
Right.
Not always the same. That was 50 years ago. We gave rise to what's called Whole Foods now. We help create farmers markets. We help create farm to cafeteria. We help create farms and county detention centers, farms in state penitentiaries, federal prisons in Kentucky. To help solve the revolving door, we have farm operations in many county jails where the people, men and women go out, they work on the farm, they learn carpentry, welding, how to grow things, how to give back to community, because people need a sense of mission and a sense of purpose in their life. And we call it therapeutic horticulture. Now, back years ago, we thought Jim was crazy as hell. Okay? I'm serious. With people out in the gardens and farms, learning how to touch the soil, but it transforms their life. You can now go to get a degree called therapeutic horticulture. So I'm saying this work, it's important work, necessary work, not easy work. So we began, again, the food co-op 50 years ago. We recognized the need to grow food locally, and locally might mean in Kentucky, it's a long state. Locally might mean over near Mississippi River. Local means Arkansas, Indiana, and not East Kentucky. Okay? So local has to be more bioregional in our thought process. The rivers don't care what county, what state they flow in. They just flow, provide water for us. Okay? In a similar way, we must move away from a homocentric lens of everything, move beyond city, county, state, and more bioregional in our approach. And which means is that we were saying earlier, we worked with utility companies for a long time, trying to get them to stop spraying Roundup, okay, near our farm, okay, for a long time. They finally saw the light and said, hey, we want to change. That's the work we have to do. Okay.
That's amazing work.
Yeah, oh yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, you know. And we approached, schools years ago about better quality food, for one thing, and also buying food locally, because the food was coming from, we had about 20 years ago, a big scare. Food came from China. It had problems with it. And in our schools in Kentucky, it was labeled all from China. I said, why in the hell are we buying food from China? Rather than the farmers around the county. Well, it's all changing now. We have all kinds of federal policy, state policy, school board. So we required changing the school board attitude about local food, required changing state, federal policy, federal law about these kind of things. But now they're commonplace, okay, almost in every state. That's the work. I'm saying that's the work, whereby the work is about being a good ancestor. The year 2100, when our great-great-great-granddaughters and grandsons look back and say, well, we read about that 2025 PWC conference, and them fools, I said lovingly, them fools did the right things, because we still now have air to breathe, water, a great diversified food supply. That's the work, really. It's about becoming a good ancestor. It's beyond simply, what can I do about, it's that too, but a much longer vision. It's what is required of us. Now, we have a sister here who we met yesterday at our lunch table. Mona, right? Wants to share, and what a synchrony of vibrations that we were working on finalizing this presentation that include folks from Nepal, okay? And we meet someone sitting next to us who's from where? Nepal. Okay, go ahead, introduce you. Considering becoming a beekeeper, and again, you can become a beekeeper in a variety of ways, okay? You can have hives for the European-derived bees. You can create your own native bee hotel in a variety of ways, okay? You can buy them, you can create them, which also means, I've said before, some bees like to burrow in the ground. Some of them are solitary, some of them are community. It's good to have somewhere around your area some barren ground. And again, ample types of forage and food and habitat for pollinators. Okay, if you want to, again, get involved in the national effort around monarch butterflies, there's a whole protocol that you can go online and get help with. And again, they lay eggs only on milkweed plants, but there's some 20 varieties of milkweeds across the country that are regional specific. We have about 5 on our farm, common milkweed, butterfly milkweed, and a few others, which means you want to have a certain stand of milkweed, but you want also other community folks in your garden area as well, not just milkweed, other kinds of plants as well. You want to build a whole community is the idea. And anyway, when it comes to hives, the Langstroth hive is probably the most widely used hive in USA, but there's a whole range of hives that you see up here. You may want to become attuned to or be aware of. You can build your own hives as well. I have friends of mine that do a lot of educational workshops where they take either hives out, like here, to a conference, or they may have on their farm a whole educational session. Some of their hives have either glass or plexiglass on 1 or 2 of the walls where you can see what's going on inside. We have friends in Europe that have the, one of these hive varieties that they build a little house and they insert the hives in the wall, okay? And then they can access the hives year round if they want to. Actually, it's a little house they create for year-round accessibility to just check on the condition. Also, rather than the frames coming up, they come out like this. It's a different way. So the point is, we encourage education about the wide diversity of ways you can go about protecting, preserving, working with pollinators and bees and things like that. This is just one example. When you pull a frame out, typically you might get this kind of a look. Back last fall, I was pulling frames out to collect honey. A friend came over and we got occupied, and we did get the frames into what we'll call an extractor, but I forgot to put frames back in. Okay? I forgot, but I got busy. I said, well, I'll do it later. And 5 or 6 months went by. And this summer, it was like May or June, I said, if I'm going on this trip to so-and-so, I should take some honey with me. Let me go and pull out some frames and collect some honey. And those 4 or 5 frames that weren't there, that space was all full of honeycomb, about 5 different layers. They were all maybe like a 1/4 inch apart, but they were like 5 different levels. Some of them were down below. They were just, wow. So the point is, they don't need frames to put honeycombs, is the point. But I was able to extract that and add the combs to what I was giving people in one of our garden parties up in Virginia. So don't think when we're not working the hives, the bees ain't doing nothing. They doing something. But now, I want to have you again, whoever else want to chime in, repeat about the seasonality of honey. Could be the color, could be the sugar content, could be a variety of things. Repeat that once again.
The way the honey look and taste will be based on what bees are pulling. Like early where I'm at, early in the spring, a lot of ragweed, a lot of clover and stuff like that. So that honey's going to be real light color. Like in the fall, the later it gets, the darker the honey's going to get because of what they're eating. And also, the lighter honey is much sweeter than the other. And this all the time is coming out of the same hives.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's kind of similar to like the terroir of wine. So like wherever you have wine,
Yes.
that region of it is going to taste different based off of the microbial system, the soil, the temperature, the type of grape. But I think it's very similar to honey. Whatever like you just mentioned, whatever the plants they're harvesting from. Sometimes you may even have beekeepers who will specifically put their hives in a specific type of orchard to get that taste. So sometimes when you have like an orange blossom honey, typically they're putting their hives in an orange or citrus field to get those notes from it. So,
Yeah. Two stories about young people and beekeeping. I gave a pollinator workshop about 3 years ago at what we call in Kentucky Berea College. It was for teachers primarily. And I asked a family of beekeepers to come in to do an hour presentation to teachers about how beekeeping and hives relate to school pollinator gardens. The dad came in with his 12-year-old daughter, okay, for the workshop. And who gave the presentation? The 12-year-old. The 12-year-old. Because 4 years before, the dad said, I want to spend more time with my daughter. I can't quite figure out how I can do that in a way that's meaningful for her, for me, for the family. And some inspiration said beekeeping. So dad and daughter went out, okay, to the beekeeping supply place, visited friends who were beekeepers, and began to learn more and more about beekeeping over a 4-year period, okay? They now had about 10 to 15 hives, and the daughter does most of the work, fell in love with it, and gave back here a PowerPoint presentation, had all kinds of hives for display as well, 12-year-old. So the point is, we have to begin with our young people who are 2.5 and 3 years old, or even in the womb, giving them this greater sensibility about things like this, and giving them the practical knowledge as we had growing up on our farm years ago, okay, as part of that work. And then last year we went to Italy for the Terra Madre gathering, and we had a black soil conference weeks before we went to Italy. And there's a young brother there from Louisville, Kentucky, who was 15 years old. In the hood, okay, in Louisville, Kentucky, like it might be here in Birmingham or Montgomery or wherever, Little Rock. And he has a business and a website, and he collects honey, he makes things that are value added, uses beeswax to make candles, okay, and he does a variety of things. There's a whole lot of things beyond just the honey, okay? But we took some of his jars of honey to Italy with us, had it on a table, USA, Kentucky table on display. But it's stories like that exist and are wanting to be told in every community. It's how do we involve young people, okay? How do we involve schools? Again, we reached out to the EPA actually and got a grant to fund gardens in schools. Okay? We call them Gardens for Pollinators. And we got the seeds from the natural gas pipeline company. It was like a whole collaborative effort. We got the mayor involved. They like photo op. We brought the mayor out, the county judge executive, the school superintendent, the principal, whatever else for that planting that took place. But I just get young people involved in the schools, churches, synagogues, everywhere. We all have to change, okay, in a lot of different ways. We use oftentimes mechanical extractors that to extract honey. You put flames in, it spins around. Then at the bottom it comes out. You put them in jars and that kind of thing. I live on the farm of my great uncle and aunt, whose parents had been enslaved, and we're looking to create some kind of they call it avatar picture of my great uncle and aunt on the front cover of our jars. That we probably will be given away first rather than selling. But anyway, we'll get to that at some point in time. But I'll tell her a story in all kinds of ways.
Your family's last name. Your family's last name.
Last name is Ballou Broadus, Simpson, Nolan, which is our attempt to embrace our family that goes back to the years of enslavement when we had people who might have, the dad might have died or whatever, and he gave one of our relatives to his daughter, okay, who was a Broadus. But we knew who she was, and might have given somebody else, another cousin, who was a Simpson during the years of enslavement. And we've been able to track back through pension files and military records, those kinds of transactions. So we began our reunion in the 40s using those 4 names. But again, on the blue side, we were brought in out of Virginia by way of Ibu in Nigeria, other folks out of Georgia, actually, whatever. But it's, so the farmer's name, the uncle, who is called Atris Baloo Farm, we're on local harvest, and we do a variety of things. I won a James Beard Award 2 years ago for 50 plus years of leadership in food justice, farm justice, and things like that. It was in Chicago. We were 6 of us 3 of us who were seed people, and we're up in Chicago at the Opera House. It's like being at the Oscars. Red carpet, paparazzi, after parties. And Jessica Harris, y'all might know her, of High on the Hog fame, was the person who was moderating that part of our James Beard Award. And to be on stage with her, it's like, wow, she's a big dog, But anyway, but that award, when I got my award, I said, this award isn't about me. It's about we. I'm here because those who came before me, especially my great-grandmother, her name was Elizabeth Ballou, mentioned her name, whose husband died in the Civil War, okay? And she was left with 6 kids, from 16 to 2. And she not only survived, they thrived. They all ultimately began to own small farms. I live on one of them now, okay? So I always lift up, come my friend Ben back here, that kind of ancestry of what we do now. And the idea of the honey is to wrap the family around that idea, that product. And we're speaking, as you notice, I always lift up my family because of what Elizabeth did. Again, she survived with 6 kids, 16 to 2. And you wonder why they were 6, they were 2 years apart. As I tell the story, we got the Harvest book.